This one came from November 0 Delta Bravo Hotel. They ask, I only do EmComm currently and use POTA activations almost every weekend to keep my skills up and going, portable, and all that entails. That is an excellent way to practice your EmComm skills, by the way, is going and operating POTA activations. It really gets you out and helps with that. I said, I'm needing a better method of packing up my Xiegu G90 XPA 125B amplifier. A great little station, by the way. That's a really nice way of being able to get out 100 watts and still just sip power when you're just sitting there operating. Says, I'm leaning towards a good waterproof hard case that has extendable handle and wheels. Any suggestions greatly appreciated. Absolutely. Let's walk through a couple of the things that we use. So these are three of the common cases that I use all of the time. Over on the left, this is the Pelican 1500. Those run about $200, and it's just kind of like a briefcase style. There's no wheels on it. There's just the one handle for carrying it. So it's kind of like a smaller briefcase. This is what I'll oftentimes transport my ICOM 7300 in as a complete station. It all packs down in there. All of these can come with the plug-in fill foam. So you're able to cut out the foam that comes inside of the case and be able to customize it specifically for your needs. The case in the middle, the Pelican 1510, that's pretty much my go-to case. This is, if I was going to suggest one case, it's going to be this one. The price is a little bit higher. They start at about $250 and they go up from there. It's a really good size. You can carry it in your carry-on luggage, so it's great for transporting it. When you drop your bags in the airlines and they have to go through all of the luggage handlers there, they do manage to survive and protect your gear very well. The one on the right, this one's you can pick these up at Harbor Freight. This one's called an Apache. It's the 5800. They run about $100. Dan, you use that case pretty extensively, I think, or you've used it in the past. Let me bring you up. Anything you want to talk about with that?
Yeah, I actually use a smaller version than that. I have a Xiegu G90, which by the way, I love. That's what I run my HF gateway on. I think I'm almost at 2,300 contacts worldwide doing FT8 with it. So the G90 is a great radio. Have not tried that amplifier, but that might have to be something for my future. But what I do have is I have the Xiegu X6100, and I have that in a case. And this is how I have it packed. I have my little Microsoft Surface laptop, which works out really nicely. Of course, I carry documentation. I can't seem to memorize the band plan, so I keep a laminated copy of that. But here's my setup, and I've got the radio and just all the essentials for it. Obviously, microphone. I've become a real fan of these lithium iron phosphate little charge batteries. What you want to look for on these is you want to find one with USB-C PD or power delivery, because that will take advantage of USB-C. You can run it, I think you can do, I know you do 12 volts. I think you can do 9 volts or 5 volts, depending on what your need is. But this little battery will run this radio probably most of the day. So very cool, easy way to do it. Certainly it gets you up and running for quite a while you make arrangements for more power if you're going to need it. With the 6100, the one thing that everybody hates about it is the speaker. It's terrible. So I have this little speaker I got on Amazon that plugs into the headphone jack. But then it's cables, the mouse, adapters, all go within this case. I carry power supplies so I can recharge things if I need to. The main thing is to make sure you've got all the cables you need. If you're doing digital, you're going to need, for this radio, you just need a USB-C cable that will plug into your laptop because the modem and everything's built in. But that's it. And this, I think this is the 3800 case, which you can get on sale at Harbor Freight for about $35. It's been fine for me. Chris is going to tell you another perspective on that. I've not tried to carry this on an airplane or do anything where it gets beat up a lot. And Chris, I'll send it back to you for commentary.
Yeah. So while you have your case open and up on screen, pretty much all of these Pelican or Pelican-like cases all have a similar kind of foam arrangement. That's that pluck and pick foam. It's got a grid pattern to it, so you're able to cut the foam out to meet the needs of whatever your particular station is for what you want to put in there. There's oftentimes a ring of foam that goes around the outside, and then these blocks of foam that go on the inside with the little pieces you can pluck out of there. And the lids usually have that kind of egg crate foam in it, so it really does help protect your gear really nicely in those. With the cases that I've got, and I use Pelicans pretty extensively, so I've got several of these Pelican cases, and I was looking for some cheap alternatives to some of the Pelicans because they do run pretty expensive. And I've picked up several of these Apache 5800s from Harbor Freight. They are almost identical in size and form factor to the Pelican 1510s. So they make a pretty nice substitute for that size. You can take them and carry on and so forth. However, what I've found is that they are nowhere near the quality as what a Pelican is, nor do they protect your gear as well. So for instance, this summer, I ended up traveling for work quite a bit. And I literally took both of these Pelicans with me on the trips and was traveling around the country using them with a lot of gear inside of them. And when I went to the airport to pick up my bags as they were sliding off the luggage tray, the Pelican came down just fine, absolutely no problem. The other Apache that I had that had similar gear in it, when it slid down off the ramp, the wheels and the whole bottom of the case just exploded in a bunch of pieces. I also have had two of them where anytime you've got these, when you go to close the lid on them, invariably you're going to have something kind of sticks out of the side a little bit. A lot of times I pack in the little stuff sack kind of bags, and had one with just a little thin piece of line hanging out. And when I clamped it down, it actually exploded the entire back of the case off of it where the hinge was. So you definitely want to be careful with these. They are a very good value as far as being cheaper than the full-blown Pelican. But when you're carrying around all of your radio gear, which we spend a lot of money on, it might be worth it to go ahead and invest in the full-on Pelican. Again, if I was going to suggest just one, I think this is kind of like the ideal, both size and shape. I repurpose this Pelican all the time. Put some markings on the outside of it also that help you really identify that it's yours, what the gear is inside that you've got. Not necessarily the equipment that you have inside, but so that you can identify, especially if you end up with multiples of these, what the configuration of gear that you've got in there is.
Brian shared a photo that I put up on screen of his setup, which is a G90 with the amplifier.
Oh, perfect.
So you should be seeing that now.
Very nice. Yeah. So this is that amplifier that's there, and you can see all the gear is packed in here pretty tightly. It looks like he's got one of the foam insert kits that they sell. I'm not sure if it looks like this is a Pelican as opposed to maybe he can put in the chat. Brian, which one is this? Is this a Pelican or is this this is the Nanook? Yeah, there's a couple of other brands of these aside from Pelican. So this one is the Nanook. It doesn't have the foam insert. It's got the Velcro. These look like camera inserts from a camera backpack that he's using to separate the gear, but creating little pockets in here to keep all of your gear organized so it all doesn't rattle around and keeps it well protected. Finding one where you can get some of these amps in so that they either stand up or lay down and are well protected can be a little bit of a challenge for that. So thanks very much for sharing that one. This is another option. These are cases like these are sold at a lot of the big box home stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, and so forth. Rigid makes them, Craftsman makes them. There's a bunch of them out on the market. Oftentimes you'll get these as kits. Oh, there, Scott's got looks like he's got one. And a lot of these kits will actually stack together. Some of them will come with an integrated hand truck as well. You can pick them up and repurpose them for whatever it is that you need. Sometimes they'll have little trays in the top or other little separators in there. These work pretty well because they do have the gasket seal and they clamp down and they will protect your gear pretty well. A few other options that you may want to think about. This is kind of my portable Go box. This is for my VHF UHF, and it's a little plastic ammo can that I've converted into a little Go box here. I use Velcro on the outside for the radio head and the external speaker. On the top of it, I've put inserts in here for power poles, a 12-volt socket connection. This has got some USB ports in here, and I've put in 2 circuits in here. One circuit on the top for all of the charging and external power, and then the second circuit, which actually drives the radio. On the top, I've moved the ports for my radio up to the outside, including an antenna port. And then if you look inside of the box, this is what the inside is wired. It's not super neat in there, but I've got a 30 amp hour battery in there. I've got the body of the radio that's set up in here, and everything does close up, and it creates a nice, pretty self-contained setup for being able to take out into the field and operate. So something like that. The little ammo cans work pretty well for getting your gear in there. They take a little bit more creativity in order to get everything kind of packed into that location. This is another option that's pretty popular for taking your gear out into the field. This is called a gator box, and this is for rack mounted equipment. Typically they look something like this on the inside. This happens to be a 6U rack, and the U stands for the unit. So this bottom panel here is 1U or 1 unit. There's another one here, and so forth. You can get little shelves to be able to mount gear into these. They've got a little space in the front, so sometimes you can get little LED lights to be able to set up and operate. Here I've got multiple different small speakers that are set up that are for each of the different bands, the different radios that are in here. You can load in all of your gear. There's a power supply on the behind these speakers, so everything can be literally powered on by just flipping a single switch. On the back side of it, this particular box can be run off of AC power. So it's got an AC plug here. So I've got AC power. I can just simply plug that in and it powers up the whole rig. Alternatively, with an external battery, I can plug into an external port here on the rig runner and then power everything just off of a battery, off of 12 volts. And we've moved all of the antenna connections here out to the outside on the back. So that's another option. And gator boxes, you can pick them up. You can find them used. A lot of production and IT companies use these. And so oftentimes we'll sell off some of the old ones. Sometimes you can find good deals on those on eBay and other locations like that. Otherwise, you can find them online. Certainly they sell them on Amazon. The place that I usually would get something like this would be either Sweetwater or B&H. Both ship really quickly and have a good selection of gear that's out there. So those are some options there. This is the current setup that I've been using, and I took this past weekend down to San Diego for the Hamtastic event. The on the left is a soft bag, and it's got just a large zipper pouch here on the top and a kind of big zipper pouch on the front. This is a flight bag. And then the bag on the right is my EmComm 705 kit. So when you unpack it, this is what I've got in that bag. Here in the Flightmaster, I've got a 60-watt PowerFilm solar panel, the Buddy Pole Power Mini with a 30 amp hour battery, so I can provide all of the power for the amp. Now I'm using the Elecraft 100-watt amp for the portable station. It's one that I had here, so I've been taking it and using that. And then this is inside of my EmComm 705 kit. There's a 12 amp hour battery, and this is what I use to power the 705. It gets the 705 to 10 watts, and then I can plug in the 100-watt amp and get me up to 100 watts with that. And then this kit has all of the cabling and so forth that I would need in order to be able to run the whole station like that. Scott, let me bring you up because you've got a really nice collection of repurposed gear that you've added.
Yep. So this, I can't remember the model number on this Pelican. It was used as an ALS box, advanced life support box for paramedics, and we got away from it, and it was due to be discarded. And so I decided to repurpose the box. I took out the drug holders and put in a pouch in the lid. And then in the bottom, I put the pluck and pull foam to carry my HF radio out there if I need to. So just a general repurpose. And you can obviously see what this one was used for. This was a ventilator. And this is the 1510 like Dan's or like Chris's. And it was due to be disposed of. And so there was 4 of these. So I took 2 of them and rebuilt the inside of it to house some radios. These are the top radio is a Kenwood TK5710, and the bottom one is a Kenwood TK5810, which is VHF UHF radio. 2 speakers, and then the actual radios are actually down here in the bottom. And this is all held in by industrial strength Velcro.
That's amazing stuff.
It doesn't move, and it's an act of God in Congress to get it to release. It just, and I found it at Lowe's. Worked really well, and the foam helps hold everything inside and give some protection for down below. And then you'll notice down here in the bottom corner is a hole. Well, this is the inside. So I put straps in here. I Velcroed in straps to hold the radios in so they don't go anywhere. And all the wiring runs up behind. And so when this housed the ventilator, all the cables came out the side here. This is a waterproof power port. So I just pull the cables through and hook everything up. These were to be tossed and thrown away. This has a handle and wheels on it. So I repurpose a lot of Pelican cases that are due for the scrap pile. And so I put a link in the chat for a company called Case Club based in Anaheim, and they will actually build inserts for your cases. You tell them what you want and they will custom make an insert for your equipment, which is really nice. I've actually used some of their stuff for my other hobby for firearms, and so they custom make my inserts for me, which is really nice, and they're not too expensive.
Nice. Yeah.
And David asked in chat about whether you can get the plug and play foam, and there is a good selection of it on Amazon. So that if you are repurposing a box like Scott did, and the foam has already been picked apart for something else, you can get replacement foam for it, so you can redo it if you repurposing a box. Or one of the things the Gator box that Chris mentioned and these foam boxes is, most of us know that we never stay with the same thing. You build a kit, it works, but you see somebody else has a better idea or your needs change. And the nice thing about the Gator boxes, the nice thing about the Pelican boxes, is you can reconfigure them pretty easily. My first Go box I built, I carefully cut a plate out to take the face of the radio and the knobs, and which was really tedious to do with the tools I had available. And then my needs changed, and I'm really kind of locked into that face. So I like the idea of something that's reconfigurable if you, I won't say if your needs change, when your needs change.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting, Dan, that you said that, is because almost all the plug and pull foam I use has been repurposed plug and pull foam from Pelican cases that were going to get tossed, and I was able to trim down, or we had extra inserts. I was able to trim it down to fit into these cases. And a lot of people don't like the plug and pull for some reason, because it falls apart and it gets kind of ugly over a period of time. I found a simple fix for that. Spray adhesive.
Mm-hmm.
The 3M spray adhesive, I spray it over the top of those, and it locks the foam back together.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't come apart, and it's real simple stuff.
Another
there
thing
also
that
is a specific adhesive for foam that works real nicely. I'll see if I can find a link. I did buy some at one point. So
Yeah, another trick that you can use, especially if you've got recycled foam, stuff that you've either repacked from, say, packages that have shown up from Amazon. A lot of times, whenever packages come in, or if I buy a product and it's got really nice foam inside, I'll save that and reuse it. A lot of times, I'll cut it down to a size that's going to work. Maybe fold it up to make it the right thickness that I'm looking for, and then do like gaff tape around it to create more of a more permanent pad of something that will fit in the various different cases. And I should note, none of this is sponsored by any of these companies. And there's a lot of other brands that are out there aside from Pelican, aside from the Gator boxes. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea. I saw somebody posted in the chat on YouTube about the Milwaukee boxes that stack really nicely as well. So there are lots of them out there. You just kind of find one that works for you. A lot of times you can find some repurposed toolboxes or other boxes that are out there that that'll work for your equipment. So
and the last thing that I use, and I didn't provide a picture of it, I put a link in the chat for Zargus cases. They're metal type cases, and believe it or not, after doing some research and talking to some people, they're EMP proof.
Oh.
And with a little bit of work, you can make them even more EMP proof. They said because any penetration through the box allows EMP to pass through. So if there's rivets in the box or have a handle that's holding it together or any seam is a penetration in the box. And so what they recommend doing is taking aluminum duct tape that you would wrap around air conditioning ducts and putting that over the seam. And what that does is it seals the portal through the box, improving the EMP on it. And then inside is foam. And then I put all my radio gear in anti-static bags.
Yeah.
And so now I've got an EMP proof box.
That's nice. Yeah, so these are really nice. They're certainly a little more high dollar ones. I've not used these. These are really nice quality boxes that are out there. And that is Zarges, ZargesUSA.com.
Oh, hang on, I'll go grab mine.
Okay. Real nice looking boxes there that may be an option for folks to look at. Hopefully that gives you, oh, there you go.
That's a monster.
That is a monster box right there. You pack a lot of.
It looks light though.
It does look light.
It's all aluminum. It's very light. And so I don't know if you can see, but right here, the aluminum tape. So this was a rivet that was going through the box to hold something inside. And so all the spots, even along the hinge back here, I've aluminum taped to seal that portal through the box, improving its EMP rating.
I actually saw a study because there is purpose-built EMP tape, and they actually had better results with the good aluminum air conditioning. What we all call duct tape isn't really, I mean, you'd never want to use it on ducts, but the aluminum stuff worked very well in these tests.
If you go to both Home Depot and Lowe's carries it. It's you can find it in the air conditioning duct section. And it is an aluminum tape. And what I found is that the glue on that stuff is conductive. So if you coat something, it produces a really nice effect with that. Here's the place if you want to submit a question to us, cq.wavetalkers.com/coffee bar. Oh, there you go. There's Scott's got the it's an actual aluminum back tape that's there, and it's really thin. It's got a layer that you pull off, and the adhesive is underneath of that layer. It sticks down really nicely. That is the really good stuff for being able to make something electrically connected there.
Explain something.